I have a friend who is in the Army Special Forces, and as a part of the selection process, they do a bunch of ruck marches. So basically they put on these packs that weigh 30, 40, 50 pounds, and they just go march. Now the crazy thing is, on top of just the physical aspect of it, they often do it, they don't know how far they're supposed to go, and they don't know what the time limit is. So just imagine the great stress, right, of like not knowing what the standards are, not knowing if you're gonna meet the standards because you don't know what they are, not knowing if you're gonna pass or fail. In today's gospel, we have a couple verses that talk about standards, right? Stop judging and you will not be judged. For the measure with which you measure will in return be measured out to you. And now there's one way of looking at it, and kind of the way that the world wants to look at it, which is to say, you know what, look man, there's no standards. You do your thing, I'll do my thing, we'll all be fine. But the problem is it doesn't work out. It's said, and with great wisdom I think, that we live in a world, in a society, where everything is permitted, but nothing is forgiven. And as it turns out, at the end of our lives, we will be judged, right? We talk about the four last things. Death, we all die. Judgment, we'll all be judged. And based on our judgment, we'll either go to heaven or hell. The good news is, we know the standard. We know the bar that we're supposed to meet. And that's Jesus on the cross, right? How to pass this test of life is to conform ourselves to Christ on the cross as much as possible. As much as possible. We have to live like him. You know, St. Paul says in the second reading that we are to bear the image of the Heavenly One. Right? We are to bear Christ with us. Christ, he who suffered, he who was ridiculed and mocked and rejected, and yet still loved, and yet still forgave. That is the way we're called to live. And we see a beautiful example of that in the first reading, as David has mercy, has forgiveness on Saul who is persecuting him. Now to be fair, it's not easy. It's not easy. But Jesus is there to help us. He gives us his body, blood, soul, and divinity in the Eucharist so that we can be united with him in Holy Communion, truly become like him. And so, with the help of Christ, with the help of the Eucharist, may we persevere in living like him so that we may be able to pass the test into eternal life. And that's my game plan for the seventh Sunday of Ordinary Time.